Hello, welcome to May 1st, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This video is something that I do every morning. Well, the video isn't something that I do necessarily every morning, but the exercise that I do is to think about the Good Life Creed. The video is a bonus that I turn on most days, but if you ever see a day and there's no video, that doesn't mean I didn't do the exercise. I'm pretty good about not missing a day. Haven't missed a day for a long time. Well, no, that's not true. I've missed some days, but since I started doing this, I think in 2018 or 19, and can only remember ever missing a handful of days, and usually for a good cause, like being sick or something like that. Anyway, I do this to remember these things and to think about how I did applying them to the challenges and opportunities of the last 24 hours. I then look forward to the next 24 hours. I cast my gaze forward and try to anticipate the challenges and opportunities that I might encounter and ready myself. Prepare myself for a good day, or prepare myself for the day, whether it be good or bad or indifferent. Let's begin. First, yesterday and last night. So I was diagnosed with sleep apnea, and started last night using one of those sleep apnea machines, the plug-in machines that help you to breathe. I only made it for a couple of hours. Yeah, it was very uncomfortable. I liken the experience to what it must be like for Maiko-san, apprentice geisha, who have to sleep on those funny wooden pillows with a little cushion on the top. It's like a little platform to protect their hair, which are nicely coiffed, and they can't be have them mussed by rolling around on the pillow, on a standard pillow. And apparently it takes some practice to get used to sleep like that. I'm going to need some practice to learn to sleep with that little device in my nose and my mouth closed and breathing. It feels claustrophobic, because if my mouth is open, it presses air, it forces air. This device pushes, humidified air into my nasal cavity, and then apparently that keeps the airways open so that I'm not stopping breathing in the middle of the night. It seems you have to keep your mouth closed, although all the instructions that I read didn't say particularly, or maybe I didn't read them clear enough. I thought I did. I'm not sure exactly how to do it. I think you're supposed to keep your mouth shut and then breathe through your nostrils. But I feel like I'm getting claustrophobic, like if the air's not going out, like it's just going up the tube. But I know it is, because there's little holes there. Anyway, I did it last night for the first time, set it all up. It's a fancy device. Unboxing it feels like unboxing a new iPhone. It's very well made, and the instructions are very good. I was impressed. It got a little app, stuff like that. But I only kept it on for like 2 hours. And in fact, I think I slept better those 2 hours. I know it's a lot to say in a short order, because sometimes it takes time to see the results. But because after I took it off, I distinctly, because I don't remember the time of 2 hours. I do know that time elapsed. But as soon as I took it off, because I was frustrated with it, I had that fitful sleep for the rest of the night. So maybe this will really work. So we'll see. I'll try again tonight. I'm going to keep at it. And I'm hoping that I'll, like the Maiko and their special pillows for their hair, to protect their hair, it takes time to learn to sleep well with it. I think it'll take time to learn to sleep well with this. And once my mouth is closed and the thing is sealed, it seems to be very quiet. I just have to get used to it. I also have to get used to the feeling of being an old man, like starting to wear a contraption. Yumiko had the same thing. I won't tell you what that is, because that's her privacy, but she had something yesterday as well that we were both comparing notes and thinking, dang it, our old age is upon us. Other than that, yesterday was a pretty uneventful day, fun day. All my chores were done, all our shopping was done. I spent the morning catching up on stuff. I caught up on my journaling, caught up on updated Freeway Bible Study, which I'm slowly re-editing. Got the new version out there. Got a lot of reading done. Got some good walks with Yumiko. Yumiko and I went out and had a nice lunch together. we had a wonderful dinner together. That was really nice, and it was a nice evening. I like it in the evening when I can close the house down, shut and lock all the windows and doors, and close the blinds, and it's just the four of us, my wife and I, and the two dogs, for the evening. That's how I like it. Let's do the good life. My 7 objectives are: number 1, to be always ready to die, to be settled, ready, in order for death. 2, to make good and effective use of my time, to manage a good and good yield to every day. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's this creed that I'm reciting now. And I do that by tinkering at it every day, namely through this exercise. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who doesn't let my emotions lead me, but instead who can manage my internal activities, my brain's reaction to the circumstances of life. I did have one thing happen like that yesterday. Oh, I remember what it was. There was something that happened noteworthy. My friend Juan, who is an avid SpaceX, Tesla, all things Elon Musk fan. I think he wouldn't mind if I called him an Elon Musk fanboy, as I am too. He knows I am too, so he sends me text messages, and he likes to send me about 10 minutes before every every SpaceX rocket, a T-minus 10 minutes countdown. And I got that, and Yumiko and I were just getting ready for our afternoon walk, our noontime walk. And I said, wait a minute, Yumiko, let's watch it was a Falcon Heavy launch, and I was trying to get the cast from my phone to the TV so we could watch it, and I knew we had 8 minutes, and it wasn't working. It just wasn't, and I don't know how we were on the countdown. I didn't want to miss it. We could have looked at it on the phone, but I wanted to watch it on the big TV, especially because I was showing it to my wife. And I caught myself, catching myself as it was happening. I was saying, oh, wait, hold on, Kurt. Now you feel your emotions rising. You're getting upset, Kurt, because you can't cast it. Take it easy, Kurt. Think of something else. Manage this situation. Manage your emotions. So I looked at my wife and I said, Yumiko, can we bring it up on your phone and cast it from your phone? So she just gave me her phone. She screen locked it, Bob brought it up, and I cast it, and it worked out fine. That was a case of me managing my emotional reactions, not getting upset. I think, Yumiko can see through me right away. She could see that it was starting, but I think she also saw that I managed it. Didn't even come close to getting upset. Okay, well, a little bit, but... So that's an example of good emotional reactions, recognizing such tricky situations and doing something about it in the moment. Next is to perform good actions. That's the next objective, just to do good things throughout the day. The next one, and this is number 6, is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities. What is within, what is outside the reach, scope of my reach, my impact, my ability to affect the world, and what is inside that perimeter, so that I can know where to apply my energies and efforts the best. And then my last objective is to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, just like I'm doing right now. It might look like I'm doing this in a natural way, but this is I think the word affected mannerism. I work to speak like this, and I do it so much that it's become part and parcel of who I am. This isn't how I normally speak. 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, I was a different person. So it's hard work to learn to be a measured human being, so to speak. Okay, those are my 7 objectives. Now for my 34 principles. 1 is the principle of war, a reminder to fight against the things that I think are true already, and to fight against the new things that come my way that I'm tempted to bring on as true. Number 2 is the principle of reason, the way that I want to engage with the world to understand, to determine what is true and what is not. And the sub-principles here are honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. The first 3 are pretty clear, but humiliation means that I want to welcome the chance to be humiliated if I discover that I'm wrong. Thank you so much for, it's a grateful blessing to learn that I'm wrong, to be found out, even if it's a humiliating experience. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Number 3, the third principle, is the homunculus. The reminder that I don't have a soul, but I do have a consciousness. And number 4 is the anchor hold, the home of the homunculus, the place where the homunculus lives, which is nowhere else other than right here in my skull, right behind my forehead here, looking out through my eyes, in a very mortal fashion, going down with the ship one day. Next is the home of good and evil. This principle suggests that right and wrong, good and evil, are mere opinions that we hold. They don't exist in nature of their own, although you can kind of trace them back to nature in a way. If you hold goodness as activities in pursuit of the well-being of thinking creatures, it then kind of distills back to the objective world. But it's not quite what I mean. It's not what I mean by that is, what I mean when I say it's not out there in nature, it's not like there's a 10 Commandments written on stone that we need to abide by some God. Good and evil, good and bad, right and wrong, good and evil, are opinions ultimately that we hold that will either lead us to that better world or help to distract us and detract us into some states worse than that. Next comes the atomic principle. Everything in the universe is made of little bits and pieces that are disengaging and disintegrating from one another and reforming into new things. Just like this bodily constitution of which I am made will very soon die and probably be burnt up, evaporate into energy. Not evaporate, but combust away into energy and smoke and noise and ash. And then maybe be reconstituted into something else. It's just a fact. It's good to remember. Things come and go. Then comes the principle of nature. Everything and everyone have some particular nature. Like it's the nature of today, the first day of the first Monday of the month, to have a very important meeting at work that I'll have this afternoon. It's the nature of that day. And I anticipated it over the weekend, and here it comes. People have a particular nature. Events have a particular nature. Days, seasons of life. It's good to know what those are so that we can deal with everything in its own terms as best we can. Next comes the pirate ride, a simple reminder that free will seems to be an illusion. We are managed, so to speak, by the universe, by the events of the universe. The inertia of the universe going on around us is seemingly mindless as it appears to be. Next is the principle of maturity, which has 3 or 4 sub-principles. These are wisdom, because we are mature when we wisely remember our past successes and failures. So it takes time to gain maturity because you need to collect wisdom. The next sub-principle is fortitude, the strength to avoid our mistakes and and work towards the furtherance of our successes. And then integrity. So there's just 3. So wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. Integrity is the yield, the gain that we get by when our lives are then lived in accord with our values. That's maturity. Next comes the social principle. We human beings are social creatures. We need one another. And it's really good to seek after the activities that bring us closer together and help us to align our activities towards common ends. So the sub-principles here are diplomacy, which is what we do when we work with one another to come to agreement about what constitutes justice. We then conspire, linking arms to move in the direction of justice, and then justice is what we seek. Yeah. The next principle is family. Just a simple reminder, it builds upon the social principle to, in the course of our life, create a nucleus of a community of people that will be our own, a family, so to speak. Then comes, and then there's a sub-principle there, which I always forget, but I remember today, which is catalyst. Family acts as a catalyst to help us to live towards better ends. Like I'm going to retire next year, and I can say that my family was the catalyst that allowed that to happen. Because I probably, if it hadn't been for the fact that I was married and had a kid to support, I probably wouldn't have stuck with it for so long over the difficult jobs that I had, that in fact, in the end, created the circumstances that allowed me to retire. So it's a catalyst for a better end. It's a family is a catalyst to higher ends, so to speak, that we might not otherwise do if we didn't have those responsibilities. Family, and in particular children, are a great catalyst to that end. Next comes public speaking, a very interesting principle that suggests that we learn to both listen and communicate, speak, or write well. And there's a number of sub-principles here. Let's see if I can get them all. I'll try to enumerate them first, and then I'll go over them. These are sub-principles to public speaking are best words, prudence, felicity, literature, eloquence, rumor, and gossip. I think that's all of them. Best words are, did I say literature? I think I said best words are the ability to have the development of an outstanding vocabulary, mostly for reading. You have to be very careful about how we use our words when we're speaking, because we don't want to baffle or sound highfalutin, like we're being pretentious. But if you arm ourselves in our minds with an outstanding memory, or not memory, but vocabulary, then when we do reading, during our reading, especially if we take on really good literature, we'll be in a better state to understand it better, more fluently, fluently is the right word. Best words. Prudence. Prudence is the ability to align our communications with our values. Very important thing. So that what we're saying and writing are a match for what we believe, or what our endeavors are in terms of making the world a better place. Felicity is the ability to season our communication with our emotions, which humanizes our communications. Eloquence comes of modeling and practice, watching others who speak and communicate well, and then modeling on our own efforts. Literature. I should put that to the front. Just reading really, really, really good books. Literature, so to speak, that class of books called literature that becomes the foundation of our entire internal library and mind. The last two are negative things that we don't want to do, which are don't engage in spreading rumors and do not engage in gossip. More on that in a second, those two. Next comes no, not yet. Distraction. No, not yet. I told you. Talking to myself. Temperance. The ability to control our consumption of all things. Resisting, it's like pulling in. And the sub-principles here are suffering, because we suffer when we deny ourselves. So we should expect that. Simplicity, and so it usually means that we're being good about being temperate when we're enduring life, so to speak. Not just in general, but enduring by telling ourselves no. Simplicity. A simple life is a temperate life. And then apathy, the ability to enforce our boundaries about what we will expect of ourselves to be able to manage. Apathy is a key. The next principle is life will not go well, and it won't. There'll be bumps, speed bumps every day and every week and month, year, and our whole lives. So expect them. And then the next principle is called the horror show. Sometimes some of those speed bumps will be horrific in nature. Expect that too. And be aware of what's happening around us, because horror is happening all around us. And horror is coming for each of us. The next principle is that which must be borne, that which we have to carry and bear, is the fact that life won't go well, and the horror show. Doesn't mean we can't enjoy life, but we should expect it to have episodes of gloom and darkness. And then the last, there's really 4 principles here, right? Life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be borne, and then the fourth element, the fourth principle is what is it? That which must be borne. The Feast of Offal, I think that's what it is. The Feast of Offal is the upset that we spew out into the world when we let ourselves run away with our upset. And I recommend against that. It's our self-control. Bottling up our emotions and not hurting others with our emotions. You can find other ways to deal with them. I think I missed one in there. I think I was supposed to put the best seat in the house. Maybe this is the right place for it. Maybe just a little bit further. Yeah, a little bit further. Next is distraction, is what we do when we keep ourselves busy with all the things that keep us busy. Our work and our play and our job and our hobbies and our politics and our church and our God and our family and the whole thing. It's nice to keep busy so that we don't have to witness and apprehend the emptiness that pervades the universe. A universe without God. That's what we don't want to see. Because if we perceive that God doesn't exist, then we're stuck with our mortality, and we're stuck with the responsibility to live well and for the consequences of our being, and no forgiveness. But on the same instance, there's nothing to be forgiven for, and there's no consequence to it. That doesn't mean we're not going to live well. I think the good life is a very challenging creed to follow, and it yields a very good existence, an existence of virtue. It's not hard. That's not easy by any means. Now, the best seat in the house. Wait, did I? No, I didn't cover that well. Distraction. There's 2 principles there, and I only covered the first one. Distraction. The next principle, and they're a pair. The next one is the great indifference, which is nothing more than the label that I apply to that emptiness I mentioned, the absence of God. Now comes the best seat in the house, which is a reminder to be all right with who I am and where I am and what I'm doing at all times, all the while striving to be better. Now comes a series of 3 principles that go together. The rest, maybe it's 4. The restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, there is 4, and the risk of avoiding risk. The restless man, this principle speaks to the anxiousness, the restlessness that we feel in our late teens and early 20s, that we want to have some adventure in life. The path of wildness, not all of us feel that. But if you are one that does feel that, then I recommend heeding that, because it won't go away otherwise. It'll probably haunt you the rest of your life. But if you do something about it, you'll get a nice boon and reward. The path of wildness, number 2 in this series, is the step that we take when we begin to move from the life that we're in into a new life, so to speak. Life circumstance, that is. I'm on the path right now. My wife and I are, as we are beginning our adventure back to Japan that I'm documenting in various ways. The great life adventure. This is the yield and the gain that comes of stepping upon the path of wildness. It's the story that results that becomes our own. And then lastly, the risk of avoiding risk. Yumiko asked me yesterday, she said, tell me more, tell me about your motto, be safe but not too safe. And I explained it to her. And we talked about the spectrum of, if you are a restless man or woman, too much safety, too much risk, and finding a sweet spot in between. Be safe but not too safe refers to that. Now, closing in on the end. Sin and damnation is next. There are 8 sins in my worldview. None of them have anything to do with any gods. There are sins against well-being, sins against virtue. These are, and mostly they relate to believing things for bad reasons, because then we have an operating principle in life. We operate, if we believe things for bad reasons, then we don't know that they're well-founded, and we may operate falsely. So the first sin is falsity, being untrue. Number 2 is credulity, a over-readiness to believe. 3 is faith, belief that's founded upon belief, which is silly. 4, superstition, more silliness. 5, dogma, belief founded upon tradition or institution. Next is authority, belief founded upon eloquence or being impressed with a high office. Authority. And then last 2 are rumor and gossip. Remember from before? Those are the two of the sins. I said we'd see them again. Rumor and gossip are, well, actually, I am talking about the sins. I talked about those before when I talked about speaking. That's what I talked about. I said, public speaking, 2 of the sub-principles were rumor and gossip. Don't engage in those. Here again, they show up again as sins. Sins against well-being. So falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, rumor, and gossip. Wait a minute, it's supposed to be 8, right? Falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, rumor, and gossip. There you go. Next is complete oblivion. With no God, no soul, no heaven, no hell, no afterlife, no living forever or dying forever. Well, at least what I mean by that is no burning in any hell. With none of that, then complete oblivion awaits us upon death. That means there'll be no final reunion with the ones we love, no final reconciliation of differences, and no final justice. The only chance we get for any of that is in the time that we're alive. So don't waste it. I'm talking to myself there. Next is the season of philosophy, a time to keep a pencil and paper handy, or foot or camera, or a guitar, whatever you want to do to capture your ideas, but capture them in the moment when they come, because they will pass, like a summer shower. Next is script writing, a tool that I use, a technique that I use to plan for the moments ahead. And I do it actively throughout the day, planning for the minutes, the hours ahead, even the days, so that I can better anticipate. I'm doing it right now. This is part of what the Good Life Creed is about. I'm script writing for the coming day. I'll be doing that in just a second when we do the third and final phase of this exercise. The bullseye aim, that's the next principle. That's a reminder that we might shoot for a target, but like playing darts, most of the time we're going to miss by some degree or maybe altogether. That should be expected. Hitting the bullseye target should be the exception, and delighted, and we shouldn't be upset when we miss. We should be simply delighted when we hit. The next principle is the uphill climb, a reminder to climb hard today, to finish the day at a higher elevation than yesterday, on a mountain that goes really nowhere but up. Arena and utility. Life is an arena where we can utilize, where we can develop principles to help us towards objectives, and then to keep those principles handy to use throughout the day in every circumstance where we might need them. 2 principles left. Nothing is enough. A very wide and deep suggestion towards simplicity. I'm going to be exploring that one, I think, in earnest when I get back to Japan. And then lastly, the principle of fun. Maybe my favorite. That's why I put it at the end. I want to finish with a fun suggestion. The principle of fun suggests that we enjoy today. And we enjoy the memory of yesterday. And enjoy the forecast of tomorrow. All right, that's my Good Life Creed. 7 objectives, 34 principles. Now, the third and final part of this exercise is to think about the coming day. I'll finish this. I'll upload the video, type out my words, which is really constitutes my daily journal entry. Then I'll go over, I'll read another chapter of the Bible. I'll study edit a page of Freeway Bible Study, my book. Then I'll take care of my dogs, fire up the computer, get my day sorted out, plan out how I'm going to work, what I'm going to do today. Doing script writing my plan for the day, and thinking about the nature of the people and that I'll meet today and the circumstances that I'll be in. And then I'll do my day in earnest. At lunchtime, my wife and I will get together, we'll leash the dogs and go for a nice long walk together. In the evening, while Yumiko cooks dinner, I'll play the guitar and practice my Japanese. And we'll have a nice dinner together after the house is all locked up, just the 2 of us. And when I go to sleep, I'll put on that mask and I'll try to sleep another couple of hours like that. Maybe sleep a little deeper and better. And I'll try to be a virtuous human being through it all. There we go. And with that, my Good Life meditation is done. I wish you all the best. Be safe but not too safe. And my life is now done, if not finished. See ya.